Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Matt here, and we back with another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. So today we're going to cover a couple of news topics, a couple of things, kind of little rumblings in the MMA world. Then from there we're going to jump off into UFC Vegas 77. Just went down last Saturday night, where Myra Bueno Silva goes in there against Holly Holmes. We're going to talk about that in a little second. So first off, top of the show, let's get off into the news, the MMA news. Michael Venom Page, MVP, formerly of Bellator, is now a free agent in the mixed martial arts world. So, if you can't tell by my reaction, that's one of those things where it's kind of like, it's interesting, but is it too late? It's kind of like when Mayweather fought Pacquiao. It's interesting, but is it too late? So, let's say maybe 5 years ago, you know, probably about 5, 6 years ago, maybe a little bit more or less, if MVP Michael Venom Page had become a free agent in the mixed martial arts world, and you knew there was definitely a chance he's more than likely going to land in the UFC, which is probably what's going to happen, this would be like tremendous. This would be huge. Like that little emoji, like your head's like exploding, you know what I'm saying? But at this point, it's kind of like, well, I mean, to a certain extent, for the highest level of fighters, there's kind of a path to victory that's kind of been drawn about MVP. Then you got the L he took to Mike Perry. So it's kind of like it doesn't really have the same oomph, like that same, like ugh, like it doesn't have that same thud to it. You know what I'm saying? It's not that solid right hand. It's just like almost like a jab with a little bit more force that you threw out, and it lands, but it don't have that thud, like that oomph. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm excited about it, but I can't say that I'm super excited about it. Because it could be just a little bit too late. It's not like he's cooked. It's not like he's a done fighter. It's not like he's not good. It's not like his style is not incredible. It's not like he's not going to sell the fight. He's going to do the shenanigans and he's got the cobra that he throws up, and, he might throw out a Pokemon ball and blow somebody's head up and dent somebody's forehead. I mean, the dude is entertaining. But, you know, I don't know. It almost seems like it doesn't resonate like how you think it should. Real quick, I would say, though, coming to the UFC in the welterweight division, I would love to see him in there. Love to see him in there against Ian Gary. That would be a good fight. Wonderboy Thompson. That would be a good fight. Stephen Thompson. Just to put these two guys in there and have them just strike it out. Like, no going to the ground. Of course, they probably wouldn't. No shooting, no grappling, no cage grapples. Just literally, we going in here and we just going to have a shootout. Whose kicks are better? Who's got the better in and out style? Who's got the better footwork? Who's got the better punches? Spin kicks, flying knees. We want to see, like, all the kicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, every kick, we want to see it. Like, we want to see some wild Bruce Lee, like, wild kicking, bro. Like, we want to see whatever we can. So, I mean, in that sense, it's like, yeah, okay. But it still just doesn't really resonate. I will say another fight I wouldn't mind seeing, MVP versus Michelle Pereira. Now that right there, MVP versus Michelle Pereira at 170 pounds, that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different. That's a fight that you just want to see. When you really think about it, you got Michelle Pereira. He's coming down the aisle. He's doing backflips, cartwheels. He's dancing. He's thrusting. He's doing all type of stuff. Then you got MVP, who's always been a showman. You know what I'm saying? Don't let him pull out his kimono and come out with the samurai sword on his side. You know what I'm saying? MVP entertain you. You dig? You come out dressed like Pikachu and his, you don't even know. So that would definitely be interesting. But at the same time, you know, we'll see how it goes. And if he does anything else, I mean, of course he's gonna do whatever for the money. If he stays with Bellator, nah, don't do that, dog. If he's thinking about going to one, nah, don't do that, bro. Like, if he's thinking about going to PFL, nah, don't even do it, bro. Like, because the gamble is you go over to PFL, you get waxed by somebody that nobody knows who their name is. Like, nobody knows who this guy is. You get waxed by him. That's it for the MVP lore. That's it for your reputation. The same thing with one. I mean, one is on Prime, so you can watch that. But at the same time, it's like, bro, you go over and get waxed by somebody overseas. It's the same thing. It's kind of like, well, he lost to Mike Perry, he lost to this guy, he lost to that guy, and I don't even know who he lost to in one. So the best thing to do is to head over to the UFC, holler at Uncle Dana, holler at Hunter Campbell, holler at whoever you can, and come on over, man, and just take your shot. You know what I'm saying? Take your shot, bro. I mean, it was a point in time where George Masvidal was like regarded as one of the better welterweights in the world by casual standards. A lot of other people knew that George was talented. Like, a lot of other people knew that Jorge Masvidal was talented. So, we knew that, but it wasn't like he was a world beater, like how Joe Rogan have you believe. Like, it wasn't like that. And I'm a tremendous, huge Masvidal fan. But, that's what I mean is Michael Venom Page comes over to UFC, he cracks a few people, catches a few people, a few highlight reel knockouts, and he's in the title picture soon. I mean, it wouldn't take much in a division that's mostly known for, lay and pray and grapple and everything, which, I mean, Michael Venom Page might go out there and get washed, might get washed, who knows? He might get washed against Michael Chiesa. You know what I'm saying? You'll never know. So, you got the welterweight division historically within the UFC is a lot of wrestlers and a lot of heavy top pressure and grapplers and, not a ton of strikers there. Or, there are a lot of strikers, but strikers that can rise to the top and become the champion is a little bit different. Shout out to Leon Rocky Edwards, though. But you know what I'm saying? So, very, very interesting. We'll see where he ends up landing, but your best bet, bro, is just go ahead and go to the UFC because it's donezo in Bellator. You got a chance at the $1 million in PFL, but to be honest, how many fighters have gone from the UFC over to the PFL and even did anything? You know what I'm saying? So it's like most of the time they go over there and get washed by somebody you don't know who they are. And then it's kind of like, well, not only you're not going to get the $1 million, but now you got this guy's, this losses on your record. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how it plays out. But very interesting. Let's also jump into another bit of news. I watched a little bit of I watched the full video that Jamal Hill, former light heavyweight champion of the world, released when he relinquished his title. Heartbreaking, sad, just gutted you at the very end of the video where he broke down, so, shout out to him. He's got a long recovery, but, more power to the man, sending that energy, sending those vibes to him. Hopefully, he'll be able to get himself together, bounce back, and get that shot back for his championship. But it was very heart-wrenching video to see from a guy who, was finally getting that shot, finally. I mean, he had the title, but I think like with this next fight, if he looked good in the fight or it was an action-packed fight, which how could it not be against Yuri unless Yuri just waxes you? It's kind of like he was really on the verge of, I think, really becoming like huge within the UFC. I'm not talking like star. I'm not talking about like Izzy level or Conor McGregor level, but like just a more hard-working champion level. You know what I'm saying? I think he was definitely there, so we'll see how it all works out for him. Shout out to Jamal Hill, you know, uh, here's to a speedy recovery, dude. And so, that's that. We're gonna move on into UFC Vegas 77 that went down in the Apex last Saturday. So, you know, what you want to say about the fight? Let's start with the main event. Myra Bueno Silva goes out there and defeats Holly Holmes in the second round via submission with like a standing choke that kind of come from the fact that Holly Holmes was really, she was starting to lean hard back into her grappling, and up against the cage pressure, which your boy said in his prediction video, if Myra's gonna get it, it's probably gonna be due to submission. I said she had good submissions up against the cage, up against the wall. Definitely has good ground submissions, and she's good in transitions and in reversals. So she gets the win by submission. This is what I'll say. When they were walking out to the main event, Myra Bueno Silva walked out like how she normally does. She's normally very emotional, usually singing, very appreciative of the moment and everything. You can tell she's really in it 100% with her heart. At the same time, Holly Holmes come out there and, it's no secret that Holly Holmes is in her 40s. She's getting up there in fight years, especially for her weight class. Although one could argue we haven't seen a ton of female fighters age out of their division. So, Holly Holmes is one of the first, to hit her 40s and still be fighting and kind of be in the public eye and everything. So, who knows? Maybe they can last longer. We don't know. But when she was walking out, I was just like, man, Holly don't look the same. She kind of looked old, and that's no disrespect to her at all. But I mean, she just didn't have that bounce. Holly Holmes was known for, coming to the octagon and not in full speed, but just like, just pretty much almost like jogging in place, like a la like Jose Aldo, and just like really bouncy and, just had she had a real bounce to her step. And she was just like a ball of energy to the point where it was like it took everything out of her, almost just to hug her coaches and everything to go into the octagon. Then you got the patented Holly Holm pacing back and forth. Just do pace, do pace. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like her signature deal. And even when she was doing that, it didn't have the same bounce, it didn't have the same pop. It almost looked like to me someone who's trying to go out here and they're doing almost like a cosplay Holly Holmes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you know what that means. Like, it was like Holly Holmes was trying to do the things that vintage Holly Holmes would do. Like, I think this is what I would do. Whereas in the past, that was just her instinct. That was her style. That was how, that was her. I did not see that same hunger or intensity to her. She just, she didn't look checked out at all, but she almost looked like she knew. Maybe she's seen it in training, maybe with the recent injuries, in her fight preparation, but it's almost like she knows, I'm losing that step. Like, that step is almost about gone. Like, I'm squeezing this orange for everything that's in it, but the juice is almost gone. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man, but shout out to Myra Bueno Silva, goes out there, finishes Holly Holm via submission, had a great post-fight interview, called her shot, which is what you want out of these fighters. If you don't have another fighter on deck and you think you might be able to get a title shot, call your shot. Shout out to her. She made it about Brazil, said those belts belong to Brazil. She wants to bring those home. Shouts out Amanda Nunes, and even called a fight, called out Juliana Pena for the championship fight. So, what? I mean, come on, bro. That's good. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you gotta give it to her right there. You know what I'm saying? But, it's just one of those things where it's like, you're not super, you can't really get super hyped up around whatever's going to happen with these title belts yet. You know what I'm saying? Because you just don't really know. Because like while we're speaking on that fact, moving over to women's featherweight, Norma Dumont goes out there and wins by decision against Chelsea Chandler. Now this, I mean, Norma Dumont goes out there, big Norma, you know what I'm saying? Goes out there, I say that respectfully, goes out there ready to throw them hands. So these two, they had a little altercation right after their weigh-ins, backstage, back behind the curtain, I guess I should say. They had to be separated by officials. So, going into that, I thought, I still was picking Norma to win, but I thought, like, Chelsea Chandler, she might be one of those types that can get Norma off her game plan, because Norma's to me, she throws him hands, she swings with that power, but at the same time, Norma seems to be a very strategic fighter to me. She goes in there, she has a game plan in mind, and she's going to stick to it. And if in the meanwhile, she's got to lay them hands on you and get you out of there, or at least lay them hands on you while she resets to the game plan, that's what she's going to do. So I thought, well, maybe Chandler, maybe she's doing that to kind of get her off her game, kind of throw her off, get her a little bit more emotional about to get her off her game plan. Bro, this fight started out and they exchanged hands very little in the very beginning of the first round, and then the next thing you know, bro, and this is going down in new MMA meme history. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even been out long enough, but you can tell it's going to be historic. I mean, it was everywhere. When Big Norma opens up with a combination on Chelsea, all you see Chelsea kind of stumble back, turn around, and she gone. Like, just takes off running. And I don't know if it was Dominic Cruz or if it was DC. One of them said I believe it was Dominic Cruz. It looked like she was rocked from the shots from Norma and turned to get space, and then started running, and then started to fall forward, and boom, she headbutts the cage, and and Big Norma chases her down. I mean, Big Norma's behind her and chasing her down over to the side of the octagon. And I mean, the way that this look, I know y'all seen the screenshots of Norma just running her down with that Terminator, that T2 run, you know what I'm saying? Like, Big Norma, the way that this played out, it was like, let me give y'all a little peek at the inside of where your boy be at, where your boy came from. Bro, it was kind of like when somebody rolls up on you, whether you probably not necessarily in a club, but you might be hanging out in the corner, hanging out, with some of your people talking or doing whatever, or maybe you're on somebody's porch, you know what I'm saying, or you're in the parking lot of the apartments, you know what I'm saying, something like that, and you just hanging out and somebody sees you and they run up on you because they've already figured in their head, I know what type of person this is, I'm going to run up on them, and I'm going to do what I need to do. No one's saying it's going to be because they're going to steal your money or nothing, but they're going to run up on you, right? Because they figure they know who you are. They know I'm going to run up on him. I'm going to lay these hands on him, and I'm going to do whatever it is that you was trying to do, right? And it's like that person was Chelsea, and she ran up on Norma, threw a couple hands, and Norma was like, oh, we throwing hands? Bing, 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 bing. And it was like Norma just like hit her with that combination. And it was just like, Chelsea realized, oh, she got hands. I need to rethink this. And just spun around and took off. And Norma's like, you know what? I can't, the audacity of you to run up on me. Nah, I got to chase you down. And that's how it looked to me. I mean, it's some wild stuff, bro. So, Norma Dumont goes out there, defeats Chelsea, and, I don't know, man. That is what it is. So, she wins by decision. We'll see what they're going to do with the featherweight division. She's calling for a title bout of some sort against somebody. I don't really know. I don't know if they're going to keep featherweight around. I made on a previous video, the only way I see them trying to keep featherweight around, and it still wouldn't even remain a division, it would just be the celebrity fight division, is if they're able to convince Ronda Rousey to go ahead and come back and fight somebody for the featherweight championship of the world. And if somebody like Ronda or Misha Tate or Holly Holm or somebody wins that's like a kind of legendary like that, or at least old school fans know who they are, They can use it as a celebrity fight division. There won't really be much rankings. It's just like if you get a win or two, you get a shot at the celebrity fighter. The only problem is I mean, out of the people I named, don't none of them want that smoke with Norma Dumont. So it's kind of like, bruh, I don't know what y'all gonna do with that division. It might be over. Big Norma, no disrespect to her, mean no disrespect, but she might end up having to, drop down to 135 and check her hands, see what she can do, because I don't know about that division. Outside of that, let's move over into Jack Maddalena. I mean, Jack Della Maddalena. JDM. Let's get off into JDM. I mean, so, JDM, he gets his opponent on short notice. Basil, I believe is how you pronounce his name. No disrespect, sir. So he gets his fight on short notice. Now, this is all I'm going to say real quick. I know a lot of people, I see a lot of people criticizing JDM. I don't know if anyone should criticize him for real, criticizing his performance, because he kind of looked drained to me. And he looked like the mistakes he was making as far as fight IQ throughout the fight, and he kept going for that guillotine, trying to jump the ghillie, and it wasn't working. It just seemed like to me that a lot of people are saying that was like his poor fight IQ, but it seemed like to me he was just drained. I mean, he had 2 weight cuts in 2 weeks, and he hasn't necessarily always looked the best on the scale in the past. Sometimes his face looks a little sunken out. I think that weight cut, however he's trying to do it, I don't think he's too big for the weight class, but I think that weight cut, however he's trying to do it, is just tough on him. It's draining. But he just looked drained to me, like he didn't have that extra gear that he normally has to get Basil out of there. But shout out to Basil, because I mean, that guy was tough. I mean, that guy had heart. I mean, I need to see him fight a few more times before I can say it, but that dude, he just might have that dog in him, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, he put on a pace, his grappling, his wrestling, he was putting a pace on JDM, and even though JDM was lighting him up on the feet, he was lighting him up with shots. But dude's got a chin. Basil's got a chin. He took the shots because he was getting eaten alive on the feet. And then, he'd swing wild and he'd land a few shots against JDM, but it wasn't anything that was going to, a few of them kind of, it almost seemed like it kind of didn't stagger JDM. I don't feel like it wobbled him, but a few of them kind of made JDM think like, all right, hold on. Let me back up and reset for a second. But, this dude, he put a pace on JDM. And I mean, I could see if he works some more on his stand-up, to kind of help, he can balance his, if he incorporated a little bit more stand-up, he wouldn't have been so tired and so gassed while being on the ground, doing wrestling and everything, which is clear to see that that's what he's really good at. That's his wheelhouse. So I would say if he added in a little bit of stand-up to where he could kind of dictate where the fight's going to be a little bit more, bro, that guy might end up being solid. So we're going to see where he's going to go. As for JDM, I wouldn't really, I wouldn't really say too much about it, because I believe those fight IQ mistakes by him were made more out of, he was landing some hard shots and Basil wasn't going anywhere. And I almost felt like, he felt like, okay, let me back up for a second, try to conserve my energy, because this didn't end like how I thought, as quickly as I thought. And then the next thing you know, Basil's on his legs and taking him back down. Or he's jumping that ghillie, and it's like, bro, quit trying to do that guillotine, bro. Like, it's not, stop doing it, bro. Like, it ain't working. Like, Basil was ready for it. The way he would just jump over JDM's legs and end up in side control was just like, bro, just stop going for the ghillie. So, nevertheless, man, good card, Nunes, ooh, she got her arm, got her arm broke, her elbow dislocated. That was sad to see. It was just her screams, her screams was just like, it took That'll take you out the moment. You know what I'm saying? You know, you see these fighters go through all type of brutal stuff and fight, and bloody and gashes and cuts and eye all hanging out and stuff. But when you see an injury and you hear either a male or a female fighter screaming from the pain, kind of like when you saw like when Anderson Silva broke his leg, in that Weidman fight, and it was just like, bro, like when you hear them screaming, that's when it hits you. Like you're like, bro, this is serious, because you're just not used to hearing that. These men and women, they get injured badly, and they don't even make a peep. You know what I'm saying? But bro, when it happens, it happens. It's like, So, that was it. Vegas 77. Michael Venom Page, is he on his way to the UFC? What's he gonna end up doing? Myra Bueno Silva is victorious in the main event over Holly Holm. We're going to see where she's going to go. She's ranked number 10, and she just beat the number 3 woman in her division at bantamweight. So we're going to see where she goes from there. But, man, we're going to see what's going on. We got got an interesting main event this Saturday. Tommy Aspinall, stepping back out there. I'm not going to sing the song, but you know the song. So, you know what I'm saying? We're going to see what goes on with him. So, got a couple little fights on that card we're going to break down a little bit later in the week. Nevertheless, I appreciate you guys for checking out another video, sitting down with your boy. Everyone, please like, subscribe, comment. If you agree or disagree, feel free to jump in the comments and let me know. That's the whole point of the channel. Is it Matt or is it fact? Fact being how you see it. Any of the topics or anything, or if you just got an idea for something you want your boy to talk about, throw it in the comments and let me know. I really appreciate it. I really want to try to drive up the traffic on the channel and grow it and see what happens. And that's what it is with your boy. So I do want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.